All right, so you found a house that checks pretty much all the boxes. I'm gonna go through and talk about what I look for when I'm walking through a house. 4 things we're looking for. They all show up on a 4-point inspection. It's gonna be the roof, the electrical, the HVAC, and the plumbing. If anything comes up on those 4, it could potentially kill a deal if we can't get them replaced, because you can't get insurance without a clean 4-point. So with the roof, it's pretty easy to find out whether the roof's been replaced. If the homeowner doesn't know, we can usually get a hold of the county or go to the city and see if they pulled a permit. So we can even have a contractor come out to the property and inspect the roof and give us an idea of how much life expectancy is left. And the inspectors will know that as well, but it's just good to have an idea. And we're also looking for any stains on the ceilings. If there's a previous roof leak, we want to have the inspector, take his moisture detector and make sure there's no active moisture present. The electrical portion of that 4-point exam, I'm always going to be taking a look at the breaker panel to see if it's something that, is it one of those Zinsco's or a Federal Pacific panel? In this case, it's a newer Square D QO breaker panel, so you're all good here. Insurance companies aren't going to have an issue with this. And it's also good just to look and make sure, if you have plans to get like an EV put in, do you have extra space, or you're going to have to like put in a sub panel or something. So always good to look and make sure, everything's on. Sometimes like the water heater will be turned off if the property's vacant. We'll want to make sure that that breaker is on for inspection so they can double check that, the hot water is working. Otherwise, the inspector might have to, come here turned on, or he forgets to look and then they have no hot water, and it's hard to make sure that the hot water heater is actually working. Average breaker panel swap out is going to be $2,000. With older houses, sometimes they have cloth jacketed wiring, and there's a few differences. We'll want to rely on the inspector to tell us whether that jacketed wiring is, okay or not. Next would be plumbing. I'm going to be checking out under the cabinets. Do we have any leaks? Have they replaced the shutoff valves? If there's any like corrosion that you can see, they're gonna want that to be cleaned up. If the bottom of like the kitchen cabinet is like missing and completely gone, it's probably something that, we wanna like fill the sinks up, let them drain, see if anything's leaking. Because a lot of the times the insurance companies, to get that 4-point clean, you'll want to replace some of the plumbing fixtures. Cast iron doesn't typically come up, but it is an area of concern for these older 60s homes that we have here in the area. The cast iron sewer lines, they're just older, they're starting to corrode a little bit. So we'll definitely want to get the line scoped. So not something that would come up on the 4-point, but definitely something I look at on every house. There's different ways to tell if it's still cast iron. Usually if it has been replaced with PVC, it's been done recently, and we will typically hear about it from the sellers if they replace that cast iron sewer line, because that's a pretty big selling point out here. If they've already, cut through and replaced everything. Some places are less invasive than others to replace the cast iron. If the bathrooms or kitchen's on an exterior wall, they can sometimes come in from the outside in. But if the kitchen's in the middle of the house, they end up having to trench through the middle of the house to replace that cast iron with PVC. And then the HVAC, we're just looking for the life expectancy of that. A lot of the times on the air handler, the date will be printed on there, date of manufacturing, or sometimes the seller already knows, they pulled a permit, we can find out the date and age of the HVAC. And they'll also, the inspector is gonna, turn on the AC, make sure that you're getting good temperatures out of the vents, and same with the heat. So those are the 4 things that I typically look for, just to make sure we can get insurance. Otherwise, it's kind of a dead deal if we can't get the seller to cooperate. Some of the times we can negotiate repairs to be done after closing. They'll give you a little bit of a window to like replace the roof after closing, because sometimes it's hard to have that done in time for closing. A lot of these roofers are busy, they've got a big backlog, you can't get it done in time for closing, so sometimes it's just better off to, close on the house, get the roof replaced right after closing, and then update your insurance, have the inspector come back out, give you that clean 4-point inspection, and then you're good to go.